Tēnā rā tātou katoa e te iwi, e te hunga whakarongo nau mai, whakatau mai, nau mai ki tēnei pakihere roki o te kai a te rangatira. Kei konei mātou ngā kai hautu, ngā kai ārahi o tēnei wānanga rangaranga. Nō reira, tēnei ka mihi, me tuku hoki ngā mihi ki ngā tūpuna kei wainganui a tātou, aha koa kei whea, koe, aha koa kei whea tātou, kei konei, kei korā hoki ngā tūpuna e hāpai, e tautoko i a tātou. Nō reira, e ngā tūpuna nau mai whakatau mai. Hei timatanga, me tukuna atu tēnei taki mihi, tēnei tāwhakina hoki, i whaka rite ana, e whakawāte ana te huarahi mā tātou mo tēnei kōrero. I o te paimana o te piringata uki i o te paimana haumako. Whakatau mai te au angitu, I hiritia te mauri, whakatai rangatira te weu, huakina wā o whawha. E te tawhitoa I o te hihiri, o e te kina te hiato. Manawa mai ai te pūtanga o tēnā riki, manawa mai ai te pūtanga o tēnā tauira. Ka eke kiarangi e tūi honei, ka eke kiarangi tā huahua. Ko tēnei te mauri kei ahau. Nā tū te whiwhi ānuku, nā tū te whiwhi ārangi. Kei te whiwhi I waho, kei te rawe I waho. Puritia mai waho, tāwhia mai waho. Ko tēnei te mauri ka whakapuki, ko tēnei te mauri ka whakakake, ko tēnei te mauri o tēnei tauira. Ko tēnei te mauri o tēnei ariki, ko tēnei te mauri o tēnei tawhakina whanno tūmai te mauri au e taukiri e. O kia ora mai rā no e te whānau. Welcome to our Wānanga Rangaranga podcast, Te Kai a Te Rangatira. Ko te Kai a Te Rangatira e kia nei ko te kōrero. So yeah, we're here for a kōrero. And you know, just I suppose we're really vibing high, really. It's been a week and a half or so since we had our last Wānanga Rangaranga e te Kohinga Marama Marae. E te whare wānanga o Waikato, I mihi nui tēnei ki te whare wānanga o Waikato. It was a beautiful space to have our wānanga at te whare wānanga. So yeah, just really want to acknowledge Waikato University, and also want to acknowledge all of our kaihoi, our participants who graced us with their presence, who joined us for our wānanga. And our intention for this podcast, we've got the whole whānau here, the whole rangaranga whānau, and our intention is to really have a reflection on our wānanga, you know, what it is we got out of it for ourselves, and also to give you an insight into how the wānanga, how it runs, how it goes. You know, and not to give away anything that you need to be there for, but to give you an idea of the space that we create to have people fulfill on, you know, their aspirations for their whānau. You know, Wānanga Rangaranga is all about whānau freedom and whānau being free to create mana motuhake and to, you know, to live mana motuhake every day. So, you know, it's with great pleasure I welcome all of our Wānanga Rangaranga whānau who have joined us from all over, well, not just the motu, not just Waikato, but also on the other side of the ditch over in Te Urupu in Perth. So yeah, we have our Vai Mauri, Natalie Lulia, our Kaihanga Moimoia, Auntie Raina, and our Te Puna Manawa, Marian Ruri, and also our Amo Kapua Tanau. Nō reira, e te whānau, tēnei te mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. And just to kick things off, of course, beside me I have my beautiful sister, Miriaina, te āio manaakitanga, and ko hau, ko Matutaira, he rangi, ko au te rangatira o tēnei wānanga rangaranga. And so, yeah, I just really want to start with I suppose, a brief overview or an explanation of how this space is created for our wānanga before we start reflecting into the wānanga that we just had. The other thing I want to do is acknowledge our Auntie Tūngia, who came up from Otaki to open our wānanga. For the last 20 years, she's been running her own wānanga called Te Roimata. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may actually have been to Auntie shared and had wānanga with her, or she may have come to you over that last 20 years. But yeah, we really were honoured and privileged to have her there to open up our wānanga, to set the mauri, and to also hand the mauri over to us to carry forth and to take on the next evolution of the Roimata wānanga as wānanga rangaranga. And you know, when that space was created and the mauri was presenced for us at Te Kohinga Marama, you know, it really created a safe space where we got connected to one another and got connected to our tupuna, our own tupuna, you know, and gave us a real access to sitting in a wānanga space where we were guided and supported by those people who have come before us, who have given their lives for us to have what we have today. So it was, yeah, an awesome space to share in and to grow and develop and to discover. And, you know, we start off the wānanga by actually creating our wānanga as a waka voyage, a tira hoi. And you know, we are all kai hoi and we all have different roles on that waka. You know, we have our kai urungi who is steering, we have our kai hautu who is kind of like navigating, and you know, our kai tātaki who is keeping everybody, you know, in time, and all of our different kai hoi, you know, along that journey are learning firstly to paddle, and as we continue paddling together, taking care of one another, sharing, you know, what we're discovering. And we really create the sharing in that wānanga as an analogy for the paddling and, you know, the actual action of hoi waka. And as we share, we get to move our waka forward together. And we also created that, you know, like on any tira hoi or any voyage on a waka, there are going to be different conditions on the waters or the rivers that we paddle on, and sometimes it's going to be, you know, wide and calm, and at other times it's going to be a bit narrow and treacherous, and could even be getting to whitewater Hooker Falls level rapids, you know, where things are going to be scary and you're going to want to, you know, get off the waka. But yeah, the safest place is to stay in the waka with everybody else and to, you know, keep digging in that hoi and keep sharing and you know, keep taking care of one another to get ourselves through to, you know, to the end of that voyage. You know, and so that is the space that is created for us. And, you know, with that being shared, I'd just really like to invite whoever's feeling moved and inspired right now to share any reflections or anything that's coming up for you about our wānanga, or anything that's come up even since then, because, man, some of the, you know, conversations, some of the sharing that we've continued on our WhatsApp page has been pretty inspiring and uplifting. So, yeah, I'd just really like to open up our conversation here for anyone who's keen to share.
I'm keen to jump in here. When you talk about, you know, creating that safe space, and yeah, it's a waka. And what we're able to do in the wānanga is between all of us as directors, as who we are for Rangaranga, you know, what we do is we actually hold that safe space, we create it. So not only do we talk about it being the waka, but we're in the waka too. We're on the voyage as well. We are kaihui. We paddle the same, except we have distinct roles that we play in the waka. And what I loved about this particular wānanga that we had is that, yes, Auntie, she created the mauri for us. She handed over the mauri of the roimata so that we could actually have that as our whāriki in our waka, that safety net, the whāriki that enables us to connect together as kaihui on the waka. But what that did in the actual space, and by me taking on the role of, or being who I am as Aio Manaakitanga, is that I got to wrap myself around each and every one of the kaihui in that waka, starting with our rangatira, including all of our directors, all of our coaches, our kaimahi, but more so our kaihui. For them, this is their first tirohui with us. And although for us, as having already paddled similar journeys, this journey was something different again. And I think that's the beauty of what I got from this wānanga rangaranga, is every journey is different, and it's about who our kaihui are for themselves at the beginning and who they create themselves to be at the end. But I suppose what I also got was who we are as rangaranga, whānau rangaranga, and having the magic of having previous kaihui from our other wānanga come and actually be in the space, be a source of manaakitanga, of sharing, of love, of abundant love, and giving, also them creating that safe space for everyone to share vulnerably, to, connect on a whole nother level with each other, with themselves. And of course, for us, it's not just about feeling connected, but it is actually about having everything there provided for you. So the kaihui and the kaimahi, we have people who look after us in the back, people who make sure that we have sustenance, people who make sure that our whare is ready. We create that space. It's almost, it is a korowai of manaakitanga and love, care, nurturing, safety, and creation, to be totally outside the box, to say things that you would never ever say in any other spaces, ever, to anybody else, even scared to even think of them yourself. But that's the space that's really created over those 2 days. And it's powerful, and what comes up and what's created is magic, not for just the person that attends the wānanga, but for their whānau who they go home to, who they get to create mana motuhake, the future of their own mana motuhake. And I just, I really got even a deeper cut of who I am, who I am for people, who I am for myself, who I am for rangaranga. And it's magic. It's magic. Love it.
Awesome. Love it, sis. And you actually really, got me thinking about how people share, and as we continue on our journey, the sharing gets deep, and people start sharing stuff that, as you said, that never even admitted to themselves, let alone shared within a group of people. And that's the type of safe environment and the type of container that we create to really have that show up. And and a lot of that is, I suppose, my role as the rangatira and the leader of the actual wānanga, to share myself vulnerably. So, the president is set with, I just pretty much get in there and start sharing all you know, the stuff that I've dealt with in my life and things that I've discovered about myself, you know, since I was little, from my first memories, really. And, you know, and that just really opens up a space for people to go, wow, you know, this guy's just sharing vulnerably as about himself and he's got nothing going on about it. Like, yeah, this is what's happened in my life, you know, and that's what people, they just take their cue and they just start sharing like, yep, this is what's happened with me. This is what I've dealt with. And, you know, it's pretty extraordinary space to be in. So, hey, thank you, sis, for sharing that. Yeah, and, you know, just the real opportunity now for any of our other whānau who can chime in on that. Kaupapa kōrero to jump in there. And nice. I see our Waikari with her hand up. Awesome, Nat.
Nah, awesome. Yeah, I think two big things come up for me in the sharing that's gone so far. Yeah, one obviously around the Māori that was created, and the Māori of the space. And you know what's there for me is obviously in my who I am for Rangaranga and Vai Māori is around, you know, yes, we're in a waka and the waka is paddling through water. And for me, actually, the Vai is a communication source. So, you know, like has been shared, you know, some of the currents we go through, yeah, you might be in some calmer waters, but also some quite treacherous, confronting type of waters. But actually, you know, what I actually got for myself on the weekend, just like a deeper cut of it, was actually you really get to discover your Māori and actually the Māori that exists around you. And you really get to dig deep, and it is confronting. So, you know, like we are saying, it's incredible spaces because actually what people deal with and what they share is really confronting, and it's not always easy. A lot of us want to jump off the waka, myself included. So, you know, it's not an easy thing, but, you know, it is that collective whānau. You know, we all are there together on the waka, and you are allowed to be however you are, and knowing that you've got the full support of everybody together. But for me, yeah, really just getting actually the discovery of your Māori, what's in there, what's not in there, the bits of it that are that really propel you forward, that, you know, really get the waka going, and also, you know, the dead weight that's sitting at the back, dragging itself along. And yeah, it's, yeah, like it's being shared, it's an incredible space that gets created in a very short space of time. And it is only 2 days that all of this happens. And, you know, it's, one, yeah, obviously being able to discover the Māori that Māori, but also, you know, what you choose to do with it. And for me, one thing I got really clear was owning, because, you know, you see these things and then it's like, well, do I own this or do I not own this? And it really is, you know, for me, being able to own, what is there inside me. And two, that we've just had some incredible sharing since our wānanga, just really seeing everybody who participated, what they're starting to own about what was always there, and really getting present and discovering, that drive that's inside them and what it looks like for them. So, yeah, that's all I got for now.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nat. Awesome kōrero, and yeah, man, blow me away with that whole vai and we're paddling through it analogy, and that being a source of communication, and awesome. And via vai Māori, of course, that's why you're getting them. Oh man, it's beautiful. Awesome. Cool. All right, kapai. So yeah, has anybody else got anything to share? I see. Yeah, we've got Auntie over in Perth, Marion and Dons. But yeah, who would like to share any reflections on how our wānanga went, or anything that you have really to contribute to this kōrero?
Well, I was waiting for the other two, but no, I'll dive in and I'll duck in. But yeah, gosh, what to say about the wānanga? I think really to acknowledge the courage and bravery of our kaihoi as well, because Nat mentioned it's confronting, and it takes a brave person to be inside of that type of conversation, and so really for us to acknowledge our kaihoi and just how amazing they are. I mean, we get just as much out of them as they do from rangaranga as well, and it inspires us to really be in an inquiry ourselves in terms of distinguishing and deepening the learnings that we have. It's we get to look at it and we get to share it as well, and just so really to acknowledge them, thank them, and that we're on this journey with them. Well, for us, they're a part of the rangaranga whānau now. Hey, Nines, you shared about some of our previous kaihoi who have participated, who are now giving back and want to be part of rangaranga, actually are part of rangaranga, and are now being of generous service to other whānau inside of this journey as well. So that always warms our heart, and just seeing all of our whānau, like your mum and dad and the kids coming to the kaihakari on the Sunday, and Nat's mum and her baby, and we're starting to see really the expansion of rangaranga, which for us, hey, we always said we want to take this globally to other Indigenous nations, and really to share this gift with our Indigenous brothers and sisters around the world. So, I'm excited for the collective consciousness, the collective conversations, the collective space, and the power of that, and the power of that being held for our Indigenous whānau, actually for any whānau, but within an Indigenous worldview, to really get access to this work and to really get to see what is possible for them. So that's what I'm excited about. Also in the wānanga too, our kaihoi get to create their tungikura and their action plans, and the stuff that people create, right? They just get so connected to whānau too. You strip away everything. In these wānanga, you never see kind of, I want to be it's not material stuff. They get really present to what really, really matters to them as a person, as a human being, as whānau, and most of it's to be connected to whānau. Most of their games are, the action plans that we create with them are about being connected, reconnected with their whānau. And so it is so gorgeous to be part of the creation of that, and to see that at the end of the 12 weeks as well, and that we're just not dealing with the same human being anymore. You're dealing with extraordinary people, extraordinary leaders who want to be a contribution, who want to be leaders for their whānau. And man, that's just, get to sit back and be part of that and look at it and be a contribution to it and be inspired by it. Just the whole world of it it's so heartwarming, it's so heartwarming. And the collective impact again, one whānau can transform a whole community, a whole region, you know, and that's really what we're up to, is we get that it starts in the backyard, it starts, the leadership starts within whānau, and that we really are committed to the transformation of Aotearoa, of the fulfillment of mana motuhake, however people, you know, view mana motuhake. So this is a real heartwarming wānanga, you know, for me. I really feel like we touched the hearts and souls of people, and there's a movement. Actually, Auntie Tu said this is a groundbreaking movement, and we're really going to own that to look back at our legacy, you know, in 100 years, and to see what contribution we were there. We want to leave this place in a better place for our mokopuna. So, yeah, awesome wānanga.
Awesome. Oh, thank you very much for those reflections, and for really sharing what our wānanga is essentially all about, and, you know, what's possible and available for whānau. And, you know, I really want to emphasize that whole ripple effect, you know, that happens. You know, we have one person from one whānau in that wānanga, and that person goes back and just impacts the rest of their whānau, you know, and one of those other whānau members may come and do the wānanga, you know, whether they do or not. They are now connected to somebody who is all about transforming families and creating the lives that they want for their whānau. And, you know, and that for us is mana motuhake. And I think, you know, that's something that I think in our wānanga we create is, you know, not being a place to get to, and not actually mana motuhake being like a destination, or, you know, when we have full total governance of Aotearoa, or, you know, when we run the country, you know, and for years now I've seen mana motuhake, and I think a lot of people have, as like a political movement, or, you know, an ability to actually govern ourselves, you know, in our countries. But I see it more as a sense of self-sovereignty, you know, as actually having sovereignty over yourself, and your ability to create the life that you actually want, and like in a moment by moment phenomenon, not like, you know, one day, someday. It's like, no, in this moment right now, you know, I'm being mana motuhake. Yeah, I'm being responsible for my life. I'm being responsible for the life of my whānau, for my future generations. You know, that's who I am. And, you know, just having people access that just changes everything. You know, not just changes everything, it transforms everything, you know. And I mean, our tupuna have been striving for mana motuhake, to return to mana motuhake for generations and generations. And I think what's been missing is that we've seen it as a place to get to, not as a way of being. And in our wānanga, you get to really discover, you know, the ways of being that are aligned with mana motuhake. You know, and that's why I think our waka analogy works perfectly, because on your own waka, you call the shots. You know, you tell your waka where you want it to go to, and you tell it how to get there. And, you know, that's really been the master of your own destiny and the author of your own life, which is all mana motuhake for me. So, hey, awesome. Thanks for that, Marion. Maybe we go to Te Urupu now, over to our kaihanga moimoia, Auntie Rhino, although she wasn't actually at the wānanga, has contributed greatly in our preparation and design and the development of our curriculum, and just has been there for massive support for all of us. So, tēnei te mihi, Auntie, kei a koe.
Kia ora whānau, great to be on here. I want to acknowledge the Whadjuk people from the Noongar Nation, their elders past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge them as the custodians of this land and their graciousness and manaakitanga to allow me and my whānau to live here. Kia ora, everybody. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate for those that wānanga rangaranga is conducted on Noho Marae, which is a perfect environment for people to get what they need to, because it's beautiful. It's love, and all you need to do is get up, go to the class, and everything, your kai and everything else is provided for you in the breaks. And they're important because they're times down. But when we created the curriculum, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And the intention that we as directors wanted was that we eventually can get funding so that those that really want to create something special within their whānau can do so. You know, not out of concern of, well, if I have to give this up to get that, okay? And then sometimes it's great for you to pay for things for yourself because you're actually honouring who you are as well and retaining the mana of the family or whānau. So, you know, and this particular curriculum we all worked on together. And, you know, if people saw us when we come together to create the curriculum and the wānanga so that we go through the throes of what our kaipui go through, we go through what they're going to go through to get to where they need to be able to create what they need to, you know, and we are all at the mercy of the communication that we've had in our lives. And so what we do is we really get at that in the wānanga and get clear of what we have created is called the lie. And for me, my lie was I wasn't good enough. And that impacted all the decisions I chose to. So I created for myself what I thought my culture would look like. And I was quite happy with that, but to my detriment. So we go through those throes and people get clear on who they are. But we hold the space and we are the stand for you. When you come into the wānanga, you do not come in broken. There's nothing we can give you. You have everything there. All we do is we create a conversation for you to discover what you haven't been talking about or what's been holding you back from talking about it. And that's the space we provide so that you can discover the essence of mana motu hake, the leadership that can exist. And we don't care whether we have 1,000 people at our wānanga or we just have one, because we are determined that if we need to transform or make a difference for our whānau, we will do it one by one. But gratefully, this wānanga rangaranga, there was courageous souls that chose to participate, and the kōrero that is coming from them is absolutely astounding, that the clarity that they have in their lives since doing the wānanga is just different. Okay, they're clear who they are. They are clear who they are for their whānau. They are clear for who they are for their employer, as employees, and even as business owners. It is just absolutely astounding. And so we've created measures in this curriculum so that we can measure the success. And I'm so proud to let you all know that, you know, we got 70% from our last wānanga of those that were in it that came back and wanted to be a part of this wānanga as kaihoi and as our coaches. And so, you know, we're meeting measures that we want to make a difference. So it works, whānau. It works. And I'm so thrilled with our whānau here, you know, because I'm in Te Urupu, and although I contribute through our phone conference, hey, they're on the ground doing the work. And so proud of them, and Auntie too, and also Lucia and our gang in the kitchen, you know, for contributing so generously and believing in what we want. We want to make a difference, but we want to make a difference at the ground level because our whānau need it. And so, love you all.
Wow, beautiful, Auntie. Thank you very much. And really get how even though you're on the other side of the Tasman, right on the other side of Australia, how crucial you are and how much of a huge contribution you are to us, into our kaihoi, you know, through us, in just really how supported I felt, you know, and encouraged by you know, the kōrero that we had leading up to our wānanga, and also the consistent support throughout it, you know, it really does make a difference. And I think that's really the essence of being on a waka together. And, you know, this is a virtual waka. We're all on together. So, you know, we don't actually have to actually be in the same physical space to be on this waka. And that, you know, although you weren't in the room with us, you were definitely on that waka along with all our tupuna who weren't physically there with us, but they were all on that waka as well. You know, so yeah, just really thank you very much for, you know, for yeah, who you are for us. Absolutely awesome. Cool, and we've got our amo kapua, te amo kapua o Rangaranga, Donnell, and yeah, just really want to give you an opportunity to share any reflections or anything that's there for you to share about our wānanga, Donnell. I think you might have been one of the first to post up on our WhatsApp sharing about, you know, what you've been present to after our wānanga, but yeah, just hand it over to you to share whatever it is you have to share, Donnell.
Cool, tēnā tātou katoa, i ngā kaimātakitaki, nei rā ngā mihi mahana kia koutou katoa. Yeah, the wānanga was amazing, you know. Whānau, us as rangaranga whānau and the contributions we are to whānau that actually come and participate, and also the, you know, the futures whānau walked out of on Sunday and wanting to really take on and create. And what I see rangaranga is others have mentioned that it's a way for all whānau, all Indigenous people and just people to actually discover that with us, and we create that whole space for conversation. As Auntie Aina said, you know, the conversations that we have to ourselves, and that's really the space we deal to, you know. It's an uncomfortable space, but it's a space we never go to because it's the conversation we never want to have, right? But actually, once we push on through that, and we don't do that alone, every single one of us go on that kaihoi waka tira hoi journey together. And we are whānau, you know, we're standing that whānau we're working. We will see you through that haerenga. And yeah, oh, there's so many things to go. I can't even think of anything right now because everything's just really mind-blowing. But the journey that you go on, it's a journey that like no other. And a journey that we encourage all whānau to take on so that they experience their true mana motuhake. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Kia ora whānau.
Yeah, awesome, Donnell. Thank you very much. And yeah, I just really tautoko your kōrero about, you know, the challenge, you know, and like any journey, you know, for those of you who have been on tirohoi with Waikato Tainui with the tribe, they have a massive tirohoi. I'm jealous that I haven't actually been on one before, but heard all about it and seen footage of them, and yeah, heard all about, you know, the challenges, physical challenges along the way, and you know, a lot of the learnings that happen. But yeah, like any journey we go through, there are, you know, ups and downs, and yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, and you know, in this case, it's a bit of a waka voyage. And now I always think about the journey from Lake Taupo, from Waikato Iti, from our maunga, Rangatira down to the lake, and you know, crossing that lake, which at times can be serene, at other times it can be massive waves on it. You know, actually coming into the river and the different spaces in between. Taupo, you know, and then heading down through Ngāti Raukawa, and you know, through the Hooker Falls or the rapids, and you know, the other lakes that you go through, and you know, in like any journey, there are parts where we're going to be like, oh yeah, this is all good, and other parts where it's like, oh man, what have I got myself into here? And you know, it's definitely one of the I suppose one of the things I really loved about our wānanga was seeing people come through that. It's like anything, once you've accomplished that challenge, and you all come out the other side, it's like, oh, we did it, you know, we made it through, we're all still here together, we're still alive, I'm all right, yay. You know, but and it's a real testimony really to our individual resilience and fortitude and strength and courage, but also our ability to band together, to look after one another, you know, get ourselves down that waka. That's the whole one waka analogy, eh? It's like, well, we're in this together, whānau. You know, nobody has to do this alone. And I think what I really get is that, you know, for the next, I think we've got 10 weeks left in the coaching platform, the coaching program that follows our weekend wānanga. And in that 10 weeks, we're all still on this waka together, you know, and our bonds grow closer together the more we continue to share and move our waka forward. You know, and I think that's something that's really outstanding about our wānanga, is that it only begins with the weekend, with the actual weekend, with us coming together and starting that journey and all jumping on the waka together. But, you know, there's another 12 weeks after that where we're actually, you know, putting in the hard yards, and really looking forward to continuing this journey with our kaihoi, with you all. And yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to having our next wānanga, which we're currently determining exactly what date we can have that on, whānau. Very highly likely to be early 2021 at this point. So for those of you who are like, oh man, I want to get onto this wānanga, yeah, I encourage you to head to our Rangaranga Limited Facebook page, and there you will find other Pakihere Roki, other podcasts that we've done for Te Kaiā Te Rangatira, introducing all of the different whānau who are there, who are here on the podcast this evening. And yeah, go and check it out, man. We'll keep you up to date and informed about when our next wānanga will be. But before we wrap it up, I just want to give everybody an opportunity, because something may have come up for you when others were sharing that you're busting to share. And if you are, now's your opportunity to get it out of your system. Oh, that's great. Awesome. Well, everything has been said and done. And once again, just acknowledge all you beautiful wahine. You know, whānau, I'm quite lucky, really. There were two of us tāne in the wānanga. Ko te nuinga he wahine. And one thing I really want to end on is that, you know, wānanga for me is a real feminine space anyway, because it's a space of conversing, sharing, having conversations, you know, deep, meaningful heart-to-hearts, and, you know, yeah, being vulnerable, and it's not really a space where men typically hang out, you know, and having to be the rangatira and the facilitator of that space is a real honor that, you know, people get to put their trust into me to do that. And it actually has me really have to generate myself and, you know, stand in my highest form really as a rangatira, and to really take on that feminine side of myself, to actually be there present in these conversations. And yeah, that's a real gift. You know, that's something that I really get to have, and it makes a massive difference for the men's spaces that I work in. You know, and I get into those men's spaces and I can be the same vulnerability, you know, I can bring those feminine energies to my own brothers and the men that I work with, and, you know, create that space for them to embrace and embody that, and to step into that container and share as well, which is a massive missing for our brothers. So if there's a tono I have is for anybody watching this, encourage your men, encourage your tāne, your brothers, your sons, your husbands, your fathers to, you know, to participate in this wānanga, and, you know, and to really take on, you know, leadership within your whānau. You know, that's what we're all about. That's what wānanga rangaranga is a stand for, building and growing whānau leadership, to have whānau freedom and mana motuhake. So with that said and done, whānau, yeah, really enjoyed this conversation, this kōrero tonight, and we really hope that you all watching and listening have enjoyed this too. So, hey, until our next Paki Here Roki Roki, our next podcast, I'm using that one because I've just learnt that kupu recently, so I thought I'd better throw it in there. Yeah, just wishing you all the best and looking forward to hearing from you in the future and having you attend our next wānanga rangaranga. Nō reira, e aku nui, e aku rahi, he rau rangatira mā, tēnei te mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. Mā te wā.